Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today I'm talking about Injustice 2. Like I say at the beginning of all my fighting game casual reviews, I am terrible at these types of fighting games, and while I do try to be intentional in my combat, in my moves, if I'm trying to pull out a special combo or something like that, I usually devolve into just button mashing. So the footage that you see on the screen is me trying my best, but no matter how hard I try to be good at these games, I'm just not, and I usually enjoy the story of these games most of all. I did a casual review on Mortal Kombat 11, and this game is also made by the same company, NetherRealms, I believe that they're called, and I really liked Mortal Kombat 11, and the story mode in Mortal Kombat 11 is basically the same kind of format as Injustice 2. I have played Injustice 1, and I remember I really enjoyed it. I played it back on the Xbox 360, and it was the first fighting game that I ever really got sucked into. I even dived a little bit into multiplayer, if you can believe it. That doesn't mean I was good, but I was invested enough to at least try to be good. This time around with Injustice 2, I didn't have the motivation to play multiplayer, but I did really want to play the story mode because the story seemed really interesting to me in Injustice 1. Basically, the plot of Injustice 1 is the Joker tricks Superman into killing his pregnant wife, and then Superman basically turns evil. He's like a villain. And so I've always liked that aspect of what if Superman was the bad guy, because Superman is so strong. Basically, the only thing that can harm him is kryptonite. He's got every single ability. And so it's interesting to see the tables turned and we're going against that kind of power rather than that power helping us. This game takes place after the first one, obviously. In this game, the big baddie is a guy called Brainiac. You gotta love comic book names. And Brainiac is basically trying to assimilate all the knowledge in the universe and capture cities, and he's plotting to destroy Earth. And so it's these two different superhero factions, the ones who side with Superman and the one who side with Batman, have to get together in the end, but there's still always that discord. I felt like I enjoyed the first Injustice story more than this one because it was all about that type of civil war conflict where two obviously good superhero factions, they just have different viewpoints on how justice should be delivered, butting heads against each other. And while this game had plenty of that, it wasn't the main focus. We're going against a similar bad guy, and so we're not spending so much time butting heads with each other. Still an interesting story mode. I had fun playing through it. These types of games like Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice, I think of them more like movies because there's so many cutscenes and they're so long. And obviously you could just watch them on YouTube if you really wanted to. But they're almost like watching a movie where I get to play through as the fight scenes and then I get to go back to watching a movie. So it's a good blend of investment in terms of me just enjoying the story and not having to worry about playing, and then doing a quick fight scene and then go back to watching the scene. So that being said, I probably want to spend full price for a game like this because I only really get them for the story mode, but for $5 or $10, I definitely think that they're a really fun time. Now, how the story mode works is there are chapters, and usually in each chapter you will either get assigned a character to play as, or you will get to be able to choose between two different characters. And that's kind of how I like it because I just wanted to experiment with all the different characters and try them out. And whenever I did play a chapter where I had a choice between two characters, I usually liked to bounce between them as well. I mean, their attacks and the combos and the super ability, they all have similar controls. If you're trying to pull off a special ability, it's usually two directions and then a button press. So just try around until you get a couple abilities under your belt that you like. And then their super abilities, you just pull down on the two trigger buttons. And as long as the opponent isn't guarding or avoids that initial strike, then you pull off this crazy over-the-top superpower. And you can imagine how crazy these get with Superman. He punches you up into the sky and slams you down onto the ground. And one of these other characters like takes you to a different realm and all these demons will attack you. I just love how over the top they are, and then like your guy is still standing because it's not like a final move, it just takes a decent chunk of your life, so it's like after all that you're still up and ready to fight, which I always find amusing. If Superman gets hit by a special ability like that, yeah, I kind of get it, but like Batman is still standing after being brought into the depths of hell and back, I just think that's a little funny. You have to have a full meter in order to initiate one of these special abilities, but you can use these bars instead to enhance your regular abilities to make them a little stronger and visually cooler as well. You also can spend this bar if you do this like where your two characters are butting heads with each other and you almost bet how much of your special meter you think that you will win, and as long as you bet more than the opponent, then you're going to get some benefit, whether it's more damage or you're going to heal a little bit of your health. So you're using this meter in several different ways, not just charging it up to do your special ability. If you were a pro, now I am not, so in most cases I'm not coordinated enough to enhance my other abilities, so I'm mostly using it as my special ability. And when I'm playing a chapter where I'm just playing as one character, it can feel a little repetitive seeing this long drawn out special ability over and over again. But that usually wasn't the case, because in most cases you bounce between characters or you get the option to play as different characters as well. Now playing through this game, the dialogue can sound a little corny. Usually after one guy beats the other, he has some snarky remark to say, like Batman will say like, "Guess I never give up," or "How do you like that?" You know, they usually have some kind of corny taunt. But as far as like the plot and the movie, I guess we'll call it, goes, I found it enjoyable and I was invested all the way, just like I was with the first Injustice and Mortal Kombat 11. Now, I will say that at the end of the game, at the final chapter, there's 12 chapters, so on the final chapter, it basically has you choose, okay, do you want to play as Superman or Batman? Because they're at odds with each other, and I thought that the story mode would play out the same way no matter who I chose, and so I chose Superman because I prefer playing as Superman over Batman. I'm usually better with characters who have that kind of range, and I feel like Batman is all about close quarters. So I chose Superman, and apparently that affects the ending of the game, and I'm not going to spoil it here, but if you choose to play as Superman, you're going to get the bad ending of this game. And so after recording this casual review, I'm going to have to hop onto YouTube and see what the good ending of this game is if I had chosen Batman. But now that I think about it, what if I have chosen Batman and it still ends up as a bad ending, and maybe they're setting it up for like an Injustice 3 or something? That's something I'm going to have to look up after this recording. I'm happy to say that I recognized at least a good 60% of these characters as well, just from like TV shows and movies. Like, yeah, I know the Green Arrow and Black Adam, and the Blue Beetle movie is coming out soon as of this recording. Yeah, I knew a decent amount of these heroes, but then there's also a lot that I had like no idea who this guy is. I also didn't know that Swamp Thing was a part of the DC heroes. I thought like yeah, he was part of DC Comics, but I didn't know he was like part of this whole Justice League universe. Overall, I would say that my favorite character, at least in Injustice 1, the character that I really like to play as is the Green Arrow, just because he has that range. He was probably the cheapest character, I'll admit, out of all of them, and I enjoyed playing as him in this one. I think his facial hair in this one is a little silly, but I definitely liked to play as him. So I'd like to play as Green Arrow, Superman, Harley Quinn is always really fun to play as just because she's such a fun character. I had a lot of success playing as Supergirl as well, probably because her and Superman are so similar. Barry's kind of fun with his super speed, and his super ability is he like travels back in time and he throws his enemy at a T-Rex. It's hilarious. I love how over the top his ability is. So yeah, I feel like there's not really like any bad characters. I'm just bad at the close close-up grappling type of people because I always tend to miss and then I look like an idiot punching in the air a couple feet away from the bad guy. Once again, I am pretty pleased with my experience playing a NetherRealm game. I had a fun 5-6 hours playing through this movie, and I just enjoyed my time. You know, even though I was so bad, I had to play on easy and would still lose a couple of times. I just had fun. You know, I never felt really stressed, which is a good sign for me whenever I play a fighting game, because usually I get pretty stressed. I think I will give this game a 4 out of 5. I believe that's the same score I gave Mortal Kombat 11. I just like the formula that they have going on here. I'm not sure. I've never really played like a Street Fighter game. The last Soul Calibur game I played was Soul Calibur 2 on the PlayStation 2. So I'm not sure how their story mode format is, but I like the way that NetherRealm does this as a casual fighting gamer. Well guys, that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about Injustice 2, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye!